Hello everyone, and thank you for finding the time to join the first BSides Prishtina conference. It's a pleasure for me to have the honor to be a speaker at the very first event of this type in Pristina. Today, my talk is about red teaming. Maybe many of you that already have some experience in cybersecurity or offensive security already know what red teaming is. But for the rest of you that don't have a specific knowledge on this type of engagements, we're going to go through it together. So I'll start with a brief introduction or a short bio of me. My name is Redon Gashi, and I am a senior security consultant at Century Cybersecurity. I'm currently leading a team of 5 security consultants, and before that I was a penetration tester from 2018 to 2020. My achievements include some CTF competitions, including some from Cyber Defense Week and from UBT CERT in Kosovo. I've also had the honor to be in the top 10 of ranking on the Hack the Box platform. I believe many of you have already heard of it. So what this talk will not cover. All of you that already have some knowledge for red teaming engagements, you are all familiar with the tools I have uploaded on this slide. So first we have Cobalt Strike and Bloodhound, and we also have some EDR evasion techniques. This particular engagement was not a traditional engagement. Me and my colleagues, we make some jokes about Cobalt Strike. We say it's like a game. You just, hey, Cobalt Strike, generate a payload. Hey, Cobalt Strike, get a shell here. So that's not really fun, but we tried to come up with some more creative ideas and to focus on the fun part of these types of engagements. So the presentation will cover how red teaming engagement is executed by using real-life examples, and also here we have the life cycle of a red teaming engagement, which includes mostly reconnaissance and attack planning, and then is the part where the execution actually comes. The reconnaissance and attack planning phases are separated into initial reconnaissance, attack planning, and then the execution phase is split into initial compromise, maintaining access, internal reconnaissance, privilege escalation, and lateral movement. For most red teaming engagements, the most difficult part is the first part, which is reconnaissance and attack planning, because we have to find an initial attack vector, and we have to gather as much information as we can about the specific company that we are targeting. So that's usually the longest and the hardest part of the engagement. Some forms of reconnaissance and attack planning include virtual reconnaissance, basically where we try to find out as much information as we can about the client. In this example, I have put 2 pictures that the client uploaded in their gallery. So by using these images, we were able to identify their internal communication platforms, which were Slack and Discord. As you all know, Slack and Discord are very convenient, and a lot of people that are oriented into technology use them for everyday communication. But we'll get to that later. Another very critical part of attack planning is mapping out the internal hierarchy of an organization. What that means is that we have to see who important people of the organization are. So we don't attack the low privilege guys, the guys who don't have access to a lot of information, but we try to map out who is the most important, and we can plan our attacks accordingly. Other steps include, for example, identification of employees by using social media. I've used an example for when we utilized LinkedIn filters to identify employees. In this way, we can get a almost full picture of who is working for this specific company, and also about their roles and their responsibilities, so we can better create that hierarchy that we already talked about. Another example is, for example, when we start an engagement, the client usually gives out some initial details about their company, where they are located and stuff like that, but we can also use that information, for example, by using whois data for ISP identification. This is a very important step in a next slide that we're going to talk about. Another critical phase is physically mapping out the company headquarters. For those, we can use physical scouting of the environment, for example, where their headquarters are, and in that way we can try to find entry points, and we can try to find entry security mechanisms that may include PIN numbers or badges or access cards or stuff like that. We can also try to identify who the responsible person from the staff is for entrance and clearance of the staff. That's usually a worker that is on the front door of the company and basically knows everyone and gives them access as requested. I have mentioned BRA, which is the Business Registration Agency of Kosovo, or as we say it in Albanian, Arabaka. This is a very important part that we can use because in BRA, every business must be registered and use their physical address. So if we cannot find the address of the headquarters for the client by using other identification mechanisms, we can just resort back to BRA, and by law they are required to put the physical address of their headquarters there. Initial access time. Physical access via trusted relationships. In this case, we disguised one of our colleagues as an ISP technician. As you can see in the, I'm sorry, but the resolution is not very good, but in this picture you can see the uniforms for two ISPs that the client was using. One was their main ISP, and the other was one of their backup ISPs in case the first one fails. So this was via trusted relationship disguised as an ISP technician, and the other initial access vector was phishing via email and physically distributing the Giraffa VPN, which is a Trojan. Now, Giraffa VPN, many of you probably have heard of Giraffa. It's the biggest local online store, and it also offers a lot of services for Kosovo people. So we came up with an idea to create a fake VPN that is named Giraffa VPN. So if we go to the company headquarters and present the idea, everybody will be happy. We will say, oh, you have been chosen to beta test this VPN, and it will we will require your feedback for further improvement and stuff like that. Everybody in that case trusted us, and we managed to deliver a Trojan horse by disguising it as Giraffa VPN. Going back to physical access via trusted relationships, the goal was to plant network implants to aid in initial access if other things failed. Those equipment usually include rubber duckies, land turtle, and packet squirrels, which are all evil tools that we use in red teaming engagements. And the attack scenario was that one of our team members visits the client's headquarters and insists they need to see the server room because someone from the staff has been complaining that the network is not working, and they are there to help troubleshoot the problem. Giraffa VPN, or the not-so-secure VPN client. It has command and control capabilities. It's fully undetectable by current protection solutions. It actually works. We've pinpointed it to an AWS server, and the VPN actually works, so you can't see what's going on. It's developed in Python, Electron.js, and it uses Google PubSub for communication. It is also integrated into a Telegram bot, so we can use it as our command and control point. The Telegram bot also alerts the controller whenever it is executed. Here is a screenshot of the actual software, but I don't think you can actually see that clearly. And on the right, there are the control and command and control capabilities by executing the system info command, just as a demo for the product. This included creatively gifting the evil merchandise. So we created some tote bags, some access badges, notebooks, and T-shirts, and of course the USB, which contained the Trojan horse that was disguised as Giraffa VPN. In this way, we maximize the chances for the actual client to believe us that we are a legit company, and the initial access will be way more easier in this way. Going back to phishing attacks, usually phishing attacks are conducted via various channels, such as social media or phone calls or emails, etc. In this case, we also used Giraffa because the company had software developers that worked there, and we kind of knew that the chances for them to order something on Giraffa were very high, so we faked an email saying that the order has been confirmed. We also, in the right part, you can see the lookalike domain name that we bought. That's not actually Giraffa 50, it's Giraffa 50. So the disguise was, in my personal opinion, it was pretty good, and the results were also pretty good. Over 15 different employees clicked on untrusted links and fell victim of that phishing attack. That included entering credentials or downloading malicious software into their company computers. All right, so after initial access time, it's time to abuse internal applications. The main communication channels that were used were Discord and Slack. We talked about that earlier, and now it's the really interesting part. Also, in this phase, we're going to talk about other misconfigured internal applications, such as TeamCity and PDQ inventory. The result of all this were lots of creds. So going back to Discord. Once we identified that the client uses Discord for internal communication, we were able to copy the whole directory of Discord of one of the infected company staff, and by just pasting it into a virtual machine, we were able to obtain an active session on their Discord channel. What this allowed for us is that we were able to create a mass surveillance of the communication that was happening inside, and we also were aware of any issues that the staff were reporting, of how they structure their passwords, where do they store sensitive data, how do they troubleshoot physical access problems, etc. Slack. The attack vector is identical as in Discord. We were able to copy the main directory and push it on a new virtual machine. We got an active session on their Slack channel. The result of this was that the company was communicating with external clients by using Slack, and a lot of client data were leaked in that process. Now for the TeamCity. TeamCity is a build management software offered by IntelliJ, I believe, and if misconfigured, it can lead to various problems. In this case, the application was using the default credentials, which are usually admin or admin password. You can find a list usually online for every application and their default credentials. Since we got initial access on this application, we were able to load a custom script, which was a payload for a reverse shell, and the TeamCity service was running with administrator privileges. The result was an anti-authority system shell, which, for you that don't know, is a very highly privileged shell. More traditional stuff on this red teaming engagements includes runfinger, crackmap exec, evil win RM, impacket, and other standard red team utilities. However, this was those tools were helpful, but the main focus was not here. The underlying issue in this engagement was the weak passwords configuration. Insecure storage of credentials and the human factor that people tend to forget passwords. They don't use password managers. They are always prone to saving passwords in files which are easily accessible. In case they just access a laptop and can't figure out the password, they just say, oh, I'll push it on a sticky note, or I'll just save it on my desktop for another service, and so on and so forth. I put a list of some of the files that were identified during the engagement, which included BitLocker keys used for the encryption of the whole company's hardware. The second file, which is the ACC _pass, this was a local administrator account that was enabled on all company devices. The third one is the Git credentials, which one of the developers saved, and there were credentials for GitHub, which gave us access to internal code and to see how they work things out. The result was an administrative access on over 100 staff computers by using the local administrator account that was enabled on all devices. I've also included a list of some passwords cracked, but I don't think you can see it here. To crack those passwords at ease, and since this was a time box engagement, and meaning that we were limited on the amount of time that we can spend on this one, we used a cracking station by using some online services that provide they provide physical graphic cards, so we can just rent them and we can use them for our own purpose. We used a combination of several GeForce RTX graphic cards, and cracking anti-LM hashes was very fast and efficient. Missing security patches. Some may think that they are not a big deal. Some may just postpone that. Some system administrators tend to be a little bit more lazy than others, and they just say, oh, I'll do that next month, I'll do that next week. But are they really a big deal? The client was vulnerable to zero logon, which was CVE 2020-1472. At that time, it was a little known exploit, but by using the publicly available POC, we were able to identify that the client is vulnerable, and as a result, we had a domain administrative access on the Active Directory of the client. After that, we used Impacket to dump some credentials to further spread into the network. There, we saw some credentials for PDQ deploy. What is PDQ deploy? PDQ deploy and PDQ inventory are applications that are used by, mostly used by system administrators to manage the computers of their staff remotely, so by not going and troubleshooting problems for each of them individually. The PDQ deploy and PDQ inventory applications store their credentials in local security authority secrets, which can be dumped by using the Impacket Python module, secrets dump. Many of you have heard of it. For you that haven't heard of Impacket, I totally recommend to go on their GitHub and see what the project is about. It's a very helpful project. Here I have attached a screenshot of the PDQ inventory app. This was basically a remote access tool, and at that point we had full control over the whole infrastructure of the client. The end result was that we were able to compromise domain administrative accounts, we compromised business emails, we compromised internal communication systems, client data, and internal applications. To highlight this impact for the executive part of the company. The executive part of the company usually tends not to really understand the technical stuff. So to highlight that impact better, we use some pictures taken from internal computer cameras. We keylogged sensitive information and recorded voice messages via microphone. Here you can see one picture taken from an internal camera. On the second picture, there are some redacted client data. And on the third one, there is a screenshot of an active computer that was within the network. This is the last slide of the presentation, and for that I'll try to ask you to please remember that red teaming can be very fun if you want it to be, and let's just not go always on the traditional ways because they are not so fun. Thank you.